Robert Bruce is an internationally respected mystic, author, and speaker from the land down under, Australia. Robert has spent his life actively exploring metaphysical, paranormal, and spiritual phenomena, making some groundbreaking discoveries. Robert is the author of the best-selling books Astrodynamics, Practical Psychic Self-Defense, Energy Work, and co-author of the Mastering Astral Projection workbook and audio series with Brian Mercer. A true spiritual pioneer of our times, the depth and scope of Robert's experience is quite remarkable. While disliking labels, Robert's probably best called a metaphysicist. His first-hand experience with the greater reality brings profound understanding to spiritual and paranormal areas. His lifetime spent exploring this field bring great depth to his books, tutorials, and seminars. Robert strives to give people the tools they need to evolve as spiritual beings. His workshops are dynamic and inspirational. Robert is a man who lives in the greater reality and invites others to join him. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce you to Robert Bruce.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be here. I've been in transit for 36 hours. I'm a little bit threadbare at the moment, so I got here with 2 hours to spare. Luckily, I left yesterday morning about 7 a.m. My work is pretty diverse and goes into a lot of areas, as you'll notice from the scope of my books. But it all comes back to energy work. It's all interlinked, and energy work is the fundamentals of everything that I do, an exploration of consciousness and truth. I didn't plan a career as an author or a public speaker. It just kind of happened to me. Yeah, I'm more comfortable in a pair of shorts on the beach, actually. But life had its way. So, now energy work. 100 years or so ago, a lot of Eastern techniques were brought to the Western world by people like Madame Blavatsky and that. And when it came over here, all of the energy work and Eastern techniques, spiritual techniques, were translated. I mean, that's a little bit too far now. Were translated from their native tongues into English, and something occurred then, I've realised now, during the translation, and when they gave the fundamental technique for moving energy and doing things, the only word we had in the English language to describe it was visualization. And so everything you'll find in the New Age spiritual movement is based upon visualization. It's visualize this and visualize that. Now, most people, surprisingly enough, don't really understand what visualization is, because it's usually not taught very well. It's just assumed that people know what it is and they can do it. And you'll find most people in any group you go into, if you ask them sincerely, and I've been doing this for a lot of years, asking the hard questions, how do you really get on with visualization? And most people, if you corner them, say, they look a bit embarrassed and say, well, I really like it. I like coming here, but I've always had a bit of a problem with visualization. I can't really, do it very well. And, this is most people feel a bit, out of it when it comes to visualization. And because the visual terms used for visualizing it, it's all visual terms. I see this, I'm seeing this, and that. All refer to sight. Now, I want to make one thing very, very clear now. Visualization is not a visual skill. Visualization is imagination, pure imagination. Now, everybody can imagine and fantasize perfectly. The smallest child can do that perfectly in a non-sighted way. Now, if you imagine something, you can close your eyes and non-visually imagine something what you did this morning or what you're planning on doing tomorrow. And imagine a detailed scene down at the beach. And you can imagine non-visually, so accurately, it's down to every hair on a person's head, the scent, the sound, the textures, everything in great, vivid detail without seeing anything. Now, unfortunately, excuse me, still got a bit of jet lag in my throat. I say, unfortunately, all spiritual techniques are based upon visualization. So obviously, if you have the slightest problem with visualization, it's going to cause you really big problems. Doing anything, even following a led meditation. Well, led meditations aren't too bad because you just sit there and relax and you follow the voice and your imagination takes over. And, you're not trying to do an exercise like try and visualize a ball of energy moving up your legs or something like that. Now, a lot of teachers that teach this have, and some people that do this successfully, have a type of mind's eye visual ability. They're like partially clairvoyant or clairvoyant. So when they visualize something, they actually see something in their mind's eye. They close their eyes and imagine a tree, and they actually see it like on a little television screen. And that's what it's like if you have visual clairvoyance. You actually see what you're imagining and you can change it. Now, but the problem occurs when that is assumed to be a normal ability that everybody has, because they don't. There's probably only one or two people in 100 have that level of visual ability. So when you have people teaching this isn't made very, very clear. Everybody assumes they have to do that, and when they're not seeing anything, they find it difficult to do the practices, and nothing seems to work. Now, so obviously, I always labour this point here because it's so important to get across that visualisation is not a visual ability. It's pure fantasy. If you close your eyes and imagine where you parked your car, reminisce where you parked your car or what the front of the building's like, you can imagine that in great detail in a non-sighted way. Now, this is just a beginning with visualisation. And it's important to understand this. Now, the second point with visualisation is that visualisation alone is a very obtuse method of moving energy. And it's in a sense of actually connecting with your energy body and manipulating the energy centres and the substance of your energy body. It's not an effective method at all. So once you add the two together, the misunderstanding about visualization and the ineffectiveness of visualization alone to move energy, and you'll find this is why most people find it difficult to make progress with metaphysical techniques and developing and stimulating the energy body. And you really have to stick with it, and it's slow going. There are exceptions, of course. Some people just naturally get it. Minimal instructions, and they'll sit down and, visualizing this, and you'll find they'll make it work. But what happens there is there's a small percentage of people do this, probably about 10% of people. They automatically connect with their physical body when they are asked to visualize something or to move energy. And they actually get energy to move. But all through this, you see it's a bit hit and miss about how many people in a group are going to get this and get that, and how many people are going to be able to move any energy at all. And I usually find, and I've been counting this for many, many years there, you've probably only got less than 25% of people in any group who actually go anywhere near connecting with their energy body and actually stimulating it and moving their energy around. And the rest of the people struggle to keep up, and they enjoy doing it, but it's not really working. Now, I discovered something about 15 years or so ago, which is the missing link to energy work and what makes it work. And this is the words that really were needed when all the Eastern texts were translated into English, which should have been used to replace visualization, would be a term that I came up with called tactile imaging. And with tactile imaging, what you do is you connect with your sense of touch in your physical body, which connects you in the physical body there. And then you move that sense of touch through your body, and that effectively stimulates the substance of your energy body, and you'll feel it. And we'll do a practice in a minute, and you'll see how this works. And it's quite amazing. How many people here have done my system of energy work before? Oh, a few. That's great. It's always good to have a couple of people here. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, this is going to be exciting then. So we're on the same page. Let's go straight to the exercise here before we go anywhere. Then you'll understand what we're talking about here. Just free your hands up for a minute. We're going to do a hand exercise. So I can literally talk for 7 days non-stop about energy work and this sort of thing, but it's actually simplicity itself to teach, and only takes a few minutes to start it. So, are you joining it? You just free your hands up. Cool. We're going to do an exercise. Yeah. You don't need the prelude to do this here. Oh, by the way, quickly, is everybody here that's going to be here this weekend, or is anybody coming tomorrow that's not here tonight? Do you know? Oh, good. If there is, it works out better if we get a few latecomers, because when we do, I have to teach them how to feel energy, which only takes 5 minutes. But it's a good example to teach you how to teach other people. So, because there's a few tricks involved that work. And, okay, we'll start with the energy work. Just put your hands out in front of you, like this, like I'm doing here now. And just make fists, tight fists, and spread your fingers. And focus on your hands. You can look at them or not, you don't have to. Eyes can be open or closed for this. Just open and close them and feel that sensation you're causing in your hands. And stop that and just hold your hands up like this. And just focus on the feel that you cause, that residual sensation. And focus your awareness on that. And feel it with your hands. Just feel it. And focus with your hands as if you were trying to detect minute changes in air temperature and air movement. As if you want to catch every little gust of air. Really sense with your hands. So if a tiny gust of air comes by, you want to catch it. Feel with them. Focus your awareness in your body, in your hands. Focusing your tactile senses in your hands. Just keep feeling them. You don't have to look at them, but you can. Eyes can be open or closed. Keep feeling your hands. Being aware of them. Just feel them. Feel that residual sensation you caused. And focus on it. Your hands have a specific feeling. And holding them up like this, the blood moving through your hands, a little pulsing, a little vibrating, a little, almost like a little buzzing in there. Just keep feeling them. Edgar Cayce does a similar exercise to help connect you to your physical body. Now, some of you will already be feeling a little buzzing, pulsing, warmth in the hands. Right now, change your hand position and put your left hand out like this, like I'm doing here, and take the right hand here and the tips of the hand, and I want you to drag them over the hand like this. You can hold your hand up like this or flat, and drag the fingertips of the hand from the tips of your left hand to the heel of the palm, fingertips to wrist, and focus on the touch you're causing in the left hand. Feel it. Look at it, close your eyes. Don't look at me, focus on your hand, that left hand. And the touch that you're causing, I want you to feel that touch as you're moving it up and down the hand. Because in a minute, we're going to stop physically touching it. A little bit faster, about half a second each way. 1 second to half a second each way. Focus on that feel. Because in a second, we're going to stop physically touching it and move the feel through your hand alone. So remember, memorize the feel of that touch you're moving through your hand. Now stop physically touching it and keep moving the feel. Fingertips to wrist, up and down through the hand. You can look at it, as some people are doing. You can point your fingers at it, like you got. Move it up and down. Watch it with your eyes, but move the feel through your left hand. Fingertips to wrist. About half a second to 1 second each way. It's a reasonably smooth action, not too slow. Fingertips to wrist. Move the feel through your left hand, through the flesh, muscles, bones, all the way through the hand. Fingertips to wrist. And you'll start to feel some unusual sensations. A little heaviness, a tightness, a tingling, a buzzing, a throbbing, warm or cool sensations. It's often stronger on one side of the body than the other. We'll get to the other hand in a minute. Right now, stop doing that. Rub your hands together. Give them a little clap. Get a sensation. Thank you. I have to do that one, Frank. Do that again, just to cause a residual feel. Tight fist and that. Now put both hands out, side by side, fingertips to wrists, through both hands simultaneously. Move the feel. No, keep your hands still. Move the feel. That residual sensation you've caused, just like we did in the left hand, move it through both hands simultaneously with your body awareness alone. You can look at it, move it, but feel it moving through your hands. Hold your hand still, just move the feel. This is called tactile imaging. You're not used to doing this. It'll take only a little bit of practice and you'll all be off. Because once you connect with your body, with your energy body, you can do anything with this. But it's crucial to get this down pat before we move on. Fingertips to wrists. Through the whole of both your hands. About half a second to 1 second each way. residual sensation you caused in both hands, move it, just like we did on the first. As if you had somebody standing in front of you, brushing the tips of their fingers over both your palms at once. A lot of people only feel a vague fuzziness moving through their hands. Just a vague fuzziness. Some of you will be feeling a lot more. Tingling, buzzing, prickling, throbbing in the palms of the hands and the fingers. Fingertips to wrists. You can move your hands down flat. You can lay them on your lap if you like. Make them comfortable. But fingertips to wrists. Make yourself comfortable. Focus everything on moving that through your hands. Fingertips to wrists. Experiment with the speed a little bit. Move it a bit faster, move it a bit slower. The most important thing is to connect with your hands, with the flesh of your body, and to move that connection, that point of awareness through your body, through your hands. It's the focal point of your awareness, your body awareness. That's what you're moving through your hands. You'll find with a little practice, not much, you can do this with only a part of your mind. So keep doing this with your hands while I'm talking. And you'll find after a minute or two, it actually picks up a momentum of its own. And even if you stop doing it consciously, notice it on your hands, you'll find your awareness is still moving through your hands or whatever body awareness action you were doing, because it gets like a bounce going to it and it just keeps going. This exercise alone on some people will activate the brow center, the throat or the heart centers, and you'll feel a noticeable pulsing, throbbing sensation, often in the heart or in the brow center, sometimes in the crown. I can see some of you smiling and nodding. Yeah. The hands are directly connected with the flow of energy. You can call it prana that comes into the body through the hands and directly into the heart center and the higher centers. There's a direct relationship, as there is with the legs and the feet coming in for the lower centers. So if you have any blockages in your body at all, once you start in the higher centers, once you start working on your hands, keep brushing your hands, fingertips to wrists, while I'm talking. If you have any blockages in you, which most people do, once you do this and you stimulate the hands so they start receiving their full quota of energy, you'll find energy, lots of depleted energy pathways in your body suddenly light up and start pumping energy to different parts of your body. And the activation in your chakras can continue for quite some time afterwards. Because there's a deficit, there's a depleted area. It's quite natural. And, you don't have to deactivate your chakras afterwards. It can't be done. Even though lots of people will tell you you have to shut them afterwards. You can't do it. It doesn't work. Fingertips to wrists. Logically, if you perform an action to cause stimulation in a primary energy center, a chakra, if you reverse that action, let's say visualizing a little door closing, you reverse that action, you're causing more stimulation and not shutting it down, because they're not mechanical devices. They're these energetic things. You have more luck with deactivating it with intention and affirmations or making commands. Right. Take a little break from that now. Is everybody feeling something I need to know?
Yeah, they're all sweaty.
They're all sweaty?
They're all sweaty.
Yeah? That can happen too. Some people will get a lot of heat moving in their body.
I'm a Reiki master anyway, so it doesn't help me or do.
You've been moving energy.
I've
Yeah.
got a little bit too much, I think.
Bit of fire element going through you there. You a fire sign? Yeah?
Pardon?
Are you a fire sign or fire element?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Fire element would do that, yeah, if you know it. Yes?
I felt ill in my stomach
And you, what it,
when it was moving.
yeah, that can happen sometimes when for such a simple exercise we're doing here now to cause a visual effect like that, that will settle down. But sometimes when the energy floods, it's like opening the floodgates to your higher centers, and it comes in to your heart center and spreads out. It'll spread down lower into the here as well. Yes?
I felt more like magnets, like moving back and forth.
Oh, yeah, very good way of describing it. I never thought about that. But yeah, that fuzziness, I say, most people will feel. Yeah, it's a bit like moving a magnet over something, yeah.
My right hand and left hand. for some reason.
Yeah, most people, if you draw a line down the center, we are more sensitive on one side of the body than the other. And so if you felt more in your right hand, you'll find the entire right side of your body will be more sensitive to energy. The other side, the less sensitive side, will respond, maybe not quite as strongly, but it will work. And through the process of doing the energy work that I teach, we'll be doing more of this and working through different parts of the energy body. Everything will start balancing out and evening itself up. Anybody else have any problems with this at all? The microphone.
Just to wait for the microphone when they have a question. The microphone to get to them.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. We have a microphone. Yeah. Yes? Good.
I started out having like jerks and continue to have those, and my entire body from my waist up is very, very hot, and it's as if there's just a circular motion going through my body from the waist up. So what's happened from the waist down?
And you weren't feeling this before. Yeah. Yeah. Any other symptoms all in your legs at all?
No.
Good.
Nothing.
You're getting some in the legs? Yeah. Some of you will be, just from that alone. But yeah, there's a huge variety of sensations you can get depending upon the level of blockages in your energy body. Now, everybody, if you haven't done this system of energy work, everybody's got blockages. I mean, I'm still discovering them inside of me. Lots of different types of them for various reasons. Some of them very, very basic, and a lot of them are there, I think, just because in normal modern life, our physical body kind of slips into the background in life, and we are very, very focused here in the eyes, in this area here, and we sort of it's like a remote camera going through life, and we tend to forget about our bodies. But inside your physical body, connecting with your physical body this is what you need to do to not only move the energy in your body and stimulate it, but to do a lot of things. We had a question there.
I'm new to energy work, and I have a really basic, stupid question.
There are no stupid questions.
Oh, wait till you hear this one. I bought your book. I read about half of it, and I was kind of horrified reading through the exercises that said You may feel, when you do this, you may feel nausea, you may feel energy spikes, you may feel shortness of breath and dizziness and heart palpitations. And I'm reading this and wondering, how do you know that this is good for you? How do you know that the body isn't saying, stop that? Do you know what I'm saying? You know, when the body has a wisdom, and how do you know, how do you know that this is good for your body?
No, that's a very good question. Well, to start with, 15 years of daily practice, and I've taught thousands of people this, and I know just about every possible thing that can go wrong. A lot of the things I wrote about in my book, Energy Work, like these things could possibly occur to you when you first start energy work. Almost a duty of care. Maybe one person in the 100 will get some form of temporary nausea. You'll find, but it is temporary. It starts to fade away after a little while. How are you feeling?
Cooling off, so I'm still very warm, energized.
Yeah?
And I've been trying to pay attention to my legs, and
Yeah.
it's like, they're okay, there's just
Yeah.
nothing going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
So just relax. Don't focus on anything at the moment. If you're feeling any like nausea or anything like that from what we've done there, don't focus on anything. Just relax, breathe, listen to me, and just take a little break for a few minutes. The golden rule with energy work, any kind of energy work, whatever level you're doing, if you experience any kind of adverse negative side effects, whatever it is, whether it's like electrical sensations buzzing up through you or nausea, anything, headaches, whatever, stop the energy work and whatever you're doing immediately and take a break. And don't go back to anything until you feel completely normal again, and then return to it again, maybe a little bit more gently. But you'll often get these things occur. There's like that temporary side effect because you've freed up a blockage. You've got energy that's moved through your body that maybe hasn't been able to move for many, many years. And it's a bit like a good example of, to answer your question here, it's a bit like if we all went outside and decided to sprint around the block. Now, after a couple of 100 yards, I mean, lots of people here are going to be feeling a bit strange, and I'll be one of them. There's like, panting and that, Sometimes when you exercise your body, and this energy work is exercising it there, you get some temporary, sensations and that come through, which can be a little bit worrying. But my golden rule of stopping what you're doing and taking a little break and then going back to it always works. It always has done. Up to and including if you have, really major problems like Kundalini spikes that will have you fall on the floor. I've had people, it doesn't happen very often, but when we start working on the feet, who've fallen off their chairs and aren't able to walk for 10 or 15 minutes because the sensations have been that strong. But it goes away. The energy body normalizes just like the physical body does, and the muscles. If you go out and exercise your body every day, after a while it gets used to it. It grows, the muscles strengthen, you get more wind, and before long it's quite easy. Well, the energy body is very similar to the physical body, and it adjusts, it adapts, it grows and grows stronger with exercise. And these are very, very simple exercises. We haven't got to the stronger ones yet. But there is a process to this, and we always start with the hands and the feet and the arms and the legs, and we work gradually up to it before we start doing anything stronger. And some of the other exercises in the book there are extremely powerful, but you need to work your way up to them because, and your energy body adapts as you go, and it's also, you'll find a consistent factor with energy work is the sensations you feel. Now, in the beginning, when you first start doing energy work, you may find some very, very strong sensations indeed in your body. So strong, they're breathtaking at times, and you think, wow, this is really strong. Now, over a period of a few weeks or a few months, you'll find they will reduce. And then they'll, reduce to a point where you may just feel a gentle tingling and warmth moving through your body. as opposed to the very strong sensations you felt earlier. And you might think you're doing something wrong or it's not working for you. But what's happened here is it's the exact opposite. Because what's actually happening here, the sensations you're feeling are physical sensations. When you focus a point of your awareness, of your body awareness, on a point of your body, and you focus on that, and let's say you scratch your little part in the center of your hand, and you focus on that little residual sensation there, you have a point of awareness, focus there, not moving, but because it's focused there, the nerves, the physical body's nerves in that area, charge up, ready to move. It's called pre-movement neurofiring. And all the nerves, it's like if you focus on your legs and your arms ready to run out as soon as you see a red light go off, you're ready to run, you'll find your legs and your whole body charges up. Ready, it's pre-movement neurofiring, getting you ready. But with the hand here, you don't move. What we do is we move that point of awareness through the physical body. And as we're moving it up and down through the physical body, like we were with the hands, the nerves in your physical body are charging and discharging. When your point of awareness moves away, the nerves behind it discharge. So you're causing quite a bit of bioelectrical activity in the physical body as we do this. Now, beneath that bioelectrical activity, you find the energy body is very strongly stimulated directly by that bioenergetic movement here, activity we're causing. But now, understandably, when we first start doing this, sometimes that bioelectrical activity can cause a little bit of nausea, some odd sensations of heat, and some people will get cold, some will get very sweaty, all kinds of things. But they always settle down. No exceptions, they always settle down. I've taught this to thousands of people over the years, and and I've studied people intensely. When I first started developing this system here, I was like pushing this, twist that, see what that does, see how this works and what that does, but these are very consistent things. The energy body always settles down. Any problems you might feel are always temporary. If you follow the golden rule, nothing will go wrong at all. It's very, very safe and only ever has beneficial results. Any more questions before we move on? Yes? Wait for the microphone. Sorry, I'm not used to the microphone.
So when you're saying that over time you feel less and less sensation, so conversely, what you're saying then is that your energy body's becoming more and more fit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to
absolutely.
clarify that.
Your energy body not only adapts to it, but it grows. And I think the physical nerves in your physical body also adapt and change. I don't have the scientific data to back that up yet. I'm waiting for the right scientist to come across my path for that one. But I've done some preliminary work with that using ECGs and EEGs and that, and it is consistent. There is a physical phenomena occurs in the body whereby you can actually track the movement of your point of body awareness. And you can put it in your right foot, for example, and do some energy work there, and your right foot will light up. And then you can move it up your leg, and you can actually track it with the machinery where you're focusing your body awareness. Pretty interesting stuff, which proves it is your physical body doing it.
In support of what you're saying, my whole body has calmed down now, and what I'm feeling is a lot of energy throughout my thighs and my legs and going down into my feet. There's one place over my heart that feels as if there's been an opening of some kind. It's like I see something and feel something different. I'm not disturbed by it, but I do feel as if I'm settling down, but the energy is much more mobile throughout my whole body.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. May I put my hand on you?
Please.
Okay. Excuse me a second. Once a healer, always a healer. you've cleared an energy blockage there. It'd be some emotional issue related to something. I won't really tell what it is. But but you should feel better. Yeah. When you clear a blockage, it can cause a little bit of trauma in your body. You can get a big sensation or something, or a big feeling come over you, but it will always settle down as the energy moves through your body and, clears away and starts getting healthier. There's a lot of the energy blockages we get, particularly in the primary energy centers or chakras, like in the heart center, where most of our emotional blockages and problems and traumas exist in those areas there. Very often they only exist in that area because we generally have a very poor flow of energy through our bodies in general. As I say, a lot of most people in the Western world, we live up here in this little window of our eyes, and our body slides into the background, and and it gets quite blocked up energetically. And but this sort of energy frees it up enormously. Yes, sir. Microphone.
Can you talk a little bit about what a blockage is, what it consists of? Is it like a thought form type thing, or is it stuff, or what?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's stuff. Now, what you say, it can be any of those things and more. It can be a thought form, it can be stuff, negative energy you've picked up. 101 different reasons can cause a blockage. It's like, just like if you interfere with a meridian in your body, you can block up a major meridian. It causes put one tiny little needle into your body in the right place, and all of a sudden your kidneys stop working. A tiny needle, or something like that happens. It's if you ever had acupuncture, from a good acupuncturist, it is absolutely amazing what they can do. I had a car accident in 2004 and got basically dropped on my head, and I've still got a bit of an S in my neck from that, and I was in absolute agony for a long time. I almost died from it. There was quite a lot of damage there. In 2004, I was in late 2004. I was in Italy, early 2005, and doing a workshop for a Qigong Kung Fu school. Whole room full of black belts. It was awesome. And after the first presentation, I was in that much pain. I had tears running down my face. I couldn't go on. I said, "You got to call me an ambulance." I said, "I'm dying." I was in that much pain, and I couldn't even stand. It was shocking. And my friend and his wife, who were trained in China for several years, and I'd never had acupuncture, he said, "Look, we'll do that if we need to, but give me a chance. Let me give you acupuncture." He said, "It's hand of God." And I thought, I'll try anything once, needles, whatever. I said, "Sure." And they cleared the room, laid me on the table, and he put some needles in my back and neck, and like 30 minutes later, 0 pain and 90% movement. It was like, wow, just from putting a couple of needles. The needles hurt. They put them in quite deep sometimes, but going from a major life-threatening sort of crisis, the only thing doctors had to offer me was surgery, which I didn't want to have, which was pretty nasty. And acupuncture saved my life. As an example there, how a little needle, a little blocked meridian can not only interfere with your body, but if you've got a physical injury, if you can increase the flow of energy through certain meridians, your body will correct itself. Even manually, it'll give itself a chiropractic adjustment if you've got the energy flowing the right way. It's amazing. This energy we're talking about here is it's not just a bit of electricity going through your body. This is your vital essence, your life force. This is who you are. And really speaking, if you separate the energy we're working with now from your physical body, and say you've got your astral body here, your etheric, whatever you want to call it, this is you. This is your underlying living template, which we're dealing with, and that's your human energy body. And it is the most amazing thing. I've been studying the human energy body for the last 20 years. And now, you think, wow, he must know a lot. I consider myself a beginner. I've made discoveries over the last 6 months that are blowing my mind. It's like, wow. And with energy work and how it works and how it connects you to yourself, and also when you start going down this pathway here, you start to understand the energy body and who you are. And then the questions arise, who are you? I look inside of me and feel my energy body. And sometimes, I'm sitting there with fully raised kundalini. I've got snakes coming out of my head, this big om sound around me, and I feel like an alien. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I? It's like, if you really push the envelope, your energy body has this most incredible stuff in it. I discovered a secret of, apart from energy work, of developing psychic abilities, and over the last year. And it's really, it's so simple. Energy work helps enormously, but a way of combining focused intention with energy work and connecting with your higher self all in the one, it's amazing. If you want to develop, for example, clairvoyance, do affirmations, verbal affirmations on that. And say, you spend 15 minutes a day doing it. Saying verbally, you have to speak them for them to be really effective. A verbal affirmation is 100 times more effective than a silent one, because a verbal affirmation activates your throat chakra and project your words onto the astral level. Your higher self / source is far more receptive and proactive on the astral level. That's why the verbal affirmations work more strongly. But if you affirm 15 minutes a day, I am clairvoyant, I see energy, I can see into the astral, I can see the human aura, I can see chakras, like that. Do that for 15 minutes a day, and you see what you're seeing in a couple of weeks' time. All of us, after a while, you'll find your higher self will start removing barriers to your clairvoyant sight, awareness, and you find you'll just start seeing auras better and spirits and things like that, and it just starts coming on. One thing I've realised is everybody is born with perfect spiritual abilities. We all have that in us, but our higher self, for various reasons, blocks that out with a set of default filters, and it filters out. I think scientists say 95% of what the eyes perceive is filtered out by the brain. And you wouldn't want to see it. These things here, trust me on this, you do not want to get psychic abilities right now or in a week, really strongly, because we have a name for that. It's called schizophrenia. I'm very serious here. These sort of abilities, you're better off going into them one small step at a time. You start seeing auras a bit better, and over a couple of months, you see a bit more and perceive a bit more, a little bit at a time as you're getting used to them. And as you do that, you need to communicate to your higher self, which is you, that you're okay with this, that you're happy with this, that you like this. Keep reaffirming it and reassuring it, and then it will keep growing inside of you. Because a lot of these abilities we have, we blocked them off in childhood, in terror, and we were quite traumatized by them, like natural abilities to see spirits and energy, to astral project, and all kinds of natural abilities we have as children. We blocked them off because, most children, or most adults for that matter, you get the symptoms of an astral projection, and it'll traumatize you. And if you go to a doctor and explain the symptoms of a typical astral projection, I'm getting rapid heartbeat sensation, continual falling sensation, swaying in bed, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing all these noises and that, and my body is vibrating from head to foot. Oh, yeah, better medicate this one. Yeah, definite early onset schizophrenia here, or whatever. They do. I mean, if you're a medical man, how else are you going to explain these symptoms? Because you're not taught this in medical school, what these things are. But, I mean, they can be very, very strong to the point where they're not only fear-inducing, but traumatizing, because, like, the whole body vibrations, the heartbeat, that can be that strong and that rapid, you will swear that you are dying. I mean, it's that heavy. It's like, wow, my heart's going to stop. It's like it's beating at 500 beats a minute. I mean, beating, pounding. And if you don't have any frame of reference as to what these things are, if it just comes on out of the blue and no one's ever warned you about it or explained it, you think you're dying. There's something terribly wrong with you. Because, yeah, anyway, I'm getting off a bit of a tangent here. Have to focus on energy work. Oh, a bit dehydrated, all that flying, but yeah, good point. Yeah, drying out. But over the last year or so, my work on energy work has grown a lot. It's really diverging in towards manifestation and what manifestation actually is, because it actually is a very, very similar thing. It's very, very connected, because if you understand who you are, which is important to understand with the energy work and the affirmations and how it all works. Okay, raise a finger here, all of you, and I want you to physically point to God, where God is. Physically point to where, I'm not pointing. Sorry. No, I want you to physically point to where God is. I'm going to take you through a logical process here. Now I want you to physically point to where God is not. If anybody's pointing up or down, I really want to know why. You're going to pointing that way. I want to know why. Yeah. But if you think about the implications of what we just did here, you cannot point to God, source. I use the terms source and God interchangeably, or deity of choice. I mean, now, if you cannot point to where source is, and you cannot point to where source is not, that means that source is everywhere. Agreed? Feel free to disagree into this. It's a train of logic here. Therefore, would you not agree? Source is also inside of you, every one of you. Yeah? No disagreements here? Good. Therefore, would it not be true to say that the closest, most approachable part of the divine is through your own body and mind and life? And there is no place or person in this world that could possibly take you any closer to the divine than you already are. Than you already are and always were. Think about the implications of that. That's profoundly important. Probably one of the most important concepts you could possibly imagine. You are God. I can feel it in some of you now. There's like this vibration starting up. No. All these years, JR, Christian, whatever it is, training. All organised religions in the world tend to separate us from source, from the Godhead, whatever you want to call it. There is a separation. There's us down here, the believers, the worshippers, And God is always somewhere up above the clouds, somewhere comfortably distant. Comfortably distant, yeah.
And demand.
Yeah. If it wasn't bad enough, yeah. Now, there is comfort in that distance. But this is the separation that the Buddhists talk about. The only cause of suffering is to be separated from source, which they define as being suffering. Now, this is a self-imposed separation. We do it through the ego and through life, and we separate ourselves because we're more comfortable being our own gods and that, and separate from the universe, doing it our own way. You don't realise that you are source, experiencing life through the body that you're currently inhabiting, and that you are source. And again, the most approachable aspect of the divine is through your own body and mind and life. And I mean you. There is no place or person in this world, there's no holy man or woman or holy place or church that could possibly take you any closer than you already were. It takes most people 20 years of actively seeking to realise that, or to even come close to realising that. And they run around the world trying this and trying that, and when they finally have eliminated everything, and there's nothing else, only that's left, and it's like, oh, that which they'd known all along. And if you go inside and you try and talk to Source, which is kind of a really big thing, it's the entire universe and creator of the universe, it's like everything. And you go inside with these questions and you look in that direction there, you'll find usually silence. A wall of silence there. Nothing. But if you keep doing it and you keep working at that, because, I mean, can anybody here think of anything more logical? Because if you can, I want to hear it. I really, really do. Because I can't think of anything more logical and obvious than this. I mean, like every child knows it. It seems to be that when we incarnated here, when we moved into this earth, it's like our spirits move through a veil of forgetfulness and then manifest in our physical bodies. And so you come from the divine, you were the divine, a big part of the divine, and you just forgot. We all forgot. And remembering this is, it's a very, very big thing. And don't expect the implications of this to sink in an hour or two. It's like, I've been stunned by this for years and I'm still stunned by it. I'm still working on it. But if you really push the envelope and you keep going inside and you keep, absolute knowledge of knowing this is true. And I said, you were there, aren't you? After a while, you'll get, yeah, you'll start getting some acknowledgement, because even though, this whole you are God thing and we are source sort of thing, it sounds really logical, but when you bring that from the intellectual acceptance and understanding of that, you bring that into the realms of personal experience, it just goes up to a whole new level. It's like, it just keeps going. And it is personal experience. Every teacher in the world and every holy book, I think, teaches the same thing, that the only way to progress spiritually, if you really want to progress, is to do so through personal experience. There is no substitute for it. You can... I've got an example of the chakras, and I've discovered the chakras over the years. And as most of you would have read these Eastern books on chakras and that, and you see these beautiful pictures of the chakras. I'll give you an example here. You may recognise the books. You will see a triangle like that, and you'll see, and there'll be this little deity thing there. And look familiar? You might have seen books on Eastern books on chakras and that you'll find, and that represents the heart chakra. And if you read the books, this is intellectual understanding here, you'll find there's a 6-pointed star in the centre. There is a 12-petal flower surrounding it, and the colour. There is a deity sitting above it up there, and there is like a smoky colour covering it. It's very smoky, and the colour that generates into the aura is green. If you read about these things, you can memorise all that, and it's great. We can be very, very knowledgeable about this. Hell, we can write books about it and teach it. But have you ever seen one? Has anybody here ever seen the real heart chakra? I did, and I learned to do this. I say learned to do this. I was shown through affirmations. I wanted to see them because there's so many books and different opinions about there's 7 chakras. No, there's 8, and there's this and that. I've got to see it for myself, personal experience. You know, I can't, you know, you take some stuff as a possibility in that because there's gaps in our knowledge here, but you want to see it. And now, I got, this is actually out of a very ancient book, thousands of years old, and I find they're often the best ones. But I observed a chakra several months ago, a heart chakra, and that is exactly what I saw. A 6-pointed star, the diagram and the lines, and the 12-petaled flower around it with a little deity sitting up there and this real smoky colour. And I'm looking at this, I thought, bugger me. Wow, it's like, it was absolutely fascinating. And then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, now I'm starting to understand because I am visually, in a very visual way, I'm a visual clairvoyant. I'm visually seeing the energy of the heart chakra. Now, when my brow center connects with that energy, because I'm not seeing it with my physical eyes here, my brow center interprets that energy in the sight center of the brain according to its learned mental associations and archetypical knowledge. And that's what comes out. And that also intimates the explanation of how some symbols have power to them, because this is the symbol coming out from the energy, which I'm seeing here. So if you draw the actual symbol itself, the symbol will generate some of that energy in tune with that particular center. There's sort of a vice versa there. So I'm going off at a tangent here again, but absolutely fascinating stuff. Yes, sir, microphone.
So what you're saying then is that that's a universal truth.
Yeah, it appears to be. I'm making fresh observations here, and and it correlates to some ancient texts I've found which are really, really old. Some of the modern ones are actually, still fairly representative of that I've seen. Even the number of petals and things like that, the same. But you get different interpretations and that, authors being what they are. But the actual thing is, I think into the universal truth. This is what a chakra looks like. That's the heart chakra, that one is. I'm working on the other ones. Yeah, it's a real voyage of discovery. And I can't bring too much other stuff up, otherwise we'll go off energy working into other areas and that. And we've got a very, very short time here together. Any questions before we go on? Do some more? One over there, and then we'll...
You were going to say something about manifestation. I wasn't sure how that...
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, manifestation. So I went off at the tangent explaining where I was coming from, your higher self, and that when I refer to your higher self, I'm referring to that aspect inside of you which is source. And it is like you at a very, very high level. You wouldn't recognize it as being you. It's like almost like a deity, per se. And we communicate with this aspect. This has been known about for millions of years. It's been called a lot of things, I think, including the inner daemon, the possibly even the Holy Ghost, things like that. I mean, and today, when I work with people, what most people take for being the actions or words or influences of spirits, spirit guides, various other entities, and that often I think comes back to your own higher self manifesting in an acceptable way to you, whatever you, according to your beliefs. Because one thing I've learned about Source/God, God is all things to all people. If you express a need or have a belief, it will fit itself to your beliefs to get through in some way. But back to your question on manifestation, the understanding your nature is crucial to the act of manifestation, because if you understand that this very, very big part of you, this like divine aspect of you, your higher self, is inside of you, when you look at practices like affirmations, they take on a whole new meaning. Affirmations, holding intentions, various ways of manifesting something, different rituals and different ways. It all comes down to one thing: energy and intention. Holding an intention for something, putting some time and energy into it, and voicing that as accurately as you can through affirmations and statements, and in a way that communicating that. And pardon me. If you don't understand that you are communicating with your higher self, which is right there with you, when you're doing affirmations, and most people don't get it, it's like you're doing affirmations, it's like, who's listening? It's like saying prayers, who's listening? It's like, God's up there behind the clouds, how can he hear me all the way down here? Why should I do this and that? And people do it. If you don't understand how it works, well, you're not going to put the work in. But once you understand how it works, you will tend to start putting the work in and realizing how it works. And knowing how it works, of course, empowers it again and makes that connection much more stronger. Now, the hardest part of manifestation, and in my book, Energy Work, there's a fair bit on manifestation in there, specifically on self-healing, as manifestation is an act of self-healing as well. If you want to heal a part of yourself, you manifest that healing. You focus your attention on it in various ways, your body awareness on that, and you say affirmations and commands expressing what you want to happen to that. And the results you get from that tend to be limited by your own beliefs or disbeliefs and blockages to this process. If you don't have any, you see miracles occurring. Now, this process works 100% of the time. There was a formula there. It's like the energy and effort put in. If you get I'll clean that off. Excuse my back. It's like a formula there. Energy put in, you could say, minus your resistance and blockages, plus time spent doing affirmations, intentions, focusing your intentions, equals the results in a particular time frame. Let's say here in a particular time frame. Now, as I say, the hardest part of using manifestation affirmations is getting people to do it, to actually put the work into it. Now, I've been doing this with my students and myself for the last year with some amazing things. When I can get a person inspired enough to actually put some serious work into this, I see miracles happening every day. An example, a man I know in one of my groups asked me a few months ago, he's a man about 30, he had a painful condition. He had varicose veins of the testicles, which is quite a painful condition. He'd had it for a few years, and he said it hurts all the time, and there's, the drugs he was given for it make him feel ill. There's some risky surgery and that for it and that, but it just hurts all the time. This is ruining the quality of a man's life. And now, he asked me for this, and so I come up with a plan for him. I said, yes, we can absolutely do this. Some simple energy work to focus the intention, and some affirmations rephrased to improve the blood flow and that there, varicose veins caused by poor blood flow. And he said, oh, great. He says, how long do I have to do this each day? And I said, how quickly do you want to get well? And he said, well, really, really quickly. He said, so how much should I do every day? I said, okay, 8 hours a day. If you really want to, and I mean 8 hours a day, more. If you really seriously want something, 16 hours a day, every waking hour. But I got him all inspired. He said, I've got a long weekend this weekend. I'll do it, because he was all inspired. So he goes away, and he's spending 8 hours a day, verbal affirmations on blood flow. 3 days later, he woke up, the condition was gone, completely reversed. And this was a few months ago, hasn't come back. And he's like blown away. He says, wow, this is a miracle. He said, you could do anything with this. I said, absolutely. And it worked out, he probably put about 16 hours in total in verbal affirmations and a little bit of energy work to focus the intentions on your body. And lots of people I've been working with, if I can inspire them to do this level of work, things change rapidly. Tumours disappear, this and that. It's just absolutely amazing. But it's crucial to understand how the process works, so you're not talking to some vague, mythical thing that might be up behind the clouds somewhere. Through connecting with your own body, your own physical body, in your own life and energy, and your higher self, when you really, really think about it, that it's all there inside of you. You are connected with this very, very strong divine part of you, very, very intimately, and it's right here inside of you. It always was, listening to your every word and thought. That's why they put God up behind the clouds, to give us some privacy. Yeah. But this is not this is like you, but at like a divine level. You wouldn't recognize yourself. It's, yeah. Right, how are we doing for time? Good, we still got some left. I lose track of time sometimes. Right, let's do some more energy work, shall we? Is everybody feeling okay now? Good. Yeah, those things do happen, but they go away pretty quickly. And I'll be surprised if everybody here isn't feeling reasonably normal. Who wants to feel completely normal? Yeah.
Define normal.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Well, normal is, yeah, it's a bit difficult, yeah. Okay, now, did anybody here not feel anything in their hands at all? Or did everybody feel something, even if it's only like the magnet thing, like a little vague thing moving through? That's excellent. Everybody felt something, that's good. Because once you have that, it's crucial that you have felt something moving through your body. Once you have that, everything else I'm going to teach you will work. It's just a matter of focusing that same thing in a different way. Now, we're going to do, I'll tell you what, we'll do a little bit more work with the hands first, and then we'll shift over to the feet. Just do the same thing again. Just make some fists in that. Cause a residual sensation, whatever you need to. You feel after you squeeze them, you can feel that feeling there. Just enough to cause a sensation, and then fingertips to wrists, up and down through the hands again. You can hold them up, you can lay them on your lap, hold them down by your sides. Fingertips to wrists. Keep moving it backwards and forwards through your hands. Now, I want you to extend that to your elbows, fingertips to elbows. Just go further up the forearms to your elbows and back down to your fingertips. Fingertips to elbows. About half a second to 1 second each way. Fingertips to shoulders, through the whole of your arms. Imagine you're moving two balls of energy up and down through your arms, fingertips to shoulders, and it's passing through your bones and flesh and muscles, up and down, fingertips to shoulders. If you have trouble going around your bent elbows, hang your hands down at the sides so your arms are nice and straight. Speed the bounce up a little bit and then slow it down a little bit. Just experiment with the speed. The speed that causes the most sensations is the best speed because that's causing the most stimulation. And if you go too fast, you'll know because you'll lose touch with your body and you won't cause any stimulation. You'll be going from shoulders to hands and skipping the bits in between. So fingertips to shoulders, up and down through the whole of your arms. Right, now keep doing this, but I want everybody to let their arms hang by their side straight, reasonably so. Let your arms hang down by your sides. Okay, now shoulders to fingertips. I want you to speed it up. Two big balls of energy coming up and down, shoulders to fingertips. And I want you to speed it up and speed it up and go as fast as you can, up and down. See how fast you can go. And then slow it down again. Give it a really good pounding and then slow it down again. And relax. Isn't this fun? This is a voyage of discovery. This is so addictive. Once you get the feel for your energy body, it's like, wow. And then you go beyond this down to every little joint and every little side of a joint and all the little fiddly bits inside, and you say, what does that do? Oh, what does this do? It's so much fun. Everybody feeling okay? Good. I've noticed a few of you are getting a little shake going through them. When you get that, it's a very particular sort of wiggle like this you go through. It's like you're not falling asleep. It's like this weird. It's an energetic thing. It's related to, you could say, it's like a mini Kundalini spike. It's Kundalini related. It's like a shot of energy going up through the spinal cord, which is called a little bubble of energy, and it causes this little stimulation, and it causes quite a noticeable wiggle to occur. You couldn't do it if you trying to get that wiggle. You can't mimic it. It's very noticeable. It's like shaking a tree branch, it sort of wobbles up through you. It's quite interesting. Yeah, it's quite normal. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad's going to happen. And don't be afraid of Kundalini. It's a very, very natural thing. It can be pretty brutal if you go about it the wrong way, though. But you need to have a bit of first-hand experience and knowledge. And the only way you can get that is to actually do it. So, yeah, it almost killed me. But I made every mistake under the sun. I'm amazed I lived. But I learned a lot by all those mistakes I made. So now I teach my students really, really carefully. There's nothing bad happens that can't be corrected. Good. Everyone's normal again. Right. Normal. I mean normal. No one's rolling on the floor or anything. It's yeah. I'm always very careful. Right. Now you can keep your shoes on or take them off. It's up to you. As long as they're comfortable. We're going to work on the feet now. Now, if you've got your shoes on or off, as long as they're not too tight or anything, your feet need to be fairly comfortable. Now, you've got to cause a sensation in them. So you can wiggle your toes inside your shoes, like we did with the hands, going like that, to cause a residual sensation that we can focus on. Now, you can also stamp your feet on the ground or rub your feet on the floor. You cause a sensation in various ways. And wiggling your toes together like that, sort of locks a sensation in there. Now, cause a sensation in your feet. And when you've got a residual sensation there, just stop and feel if you can still feel them. Move that feel, exactly what we did with the hands, but do it in the feet. Toes to heels. Backward and forwards through both feet simultaneously. Toes to heels. You can keep your feet flat. You can put them out in front of you. Just be comfortable. Toes to heels. Through the whole of your feet. Through all the bones and muscles and tendons and flesh. Toes to heels. About half a second to 1 second each way. That's about this speed here, which is like, someone around that. A little bit faster, a little bit slower. Vary it, but you don't want it too slow at this stage. You need to keep a movement. It's easier to do while it's moving. It gets more difficult if you go too slow, because you'll tend to lose touch with it. Moving your body awareness, toes to heels. Or don't cross your legs. It's much harder to do if your legs are crossed. Just the logistics of it. Cross them later on when you're used to it. You've got to keep it simple to start with. Yeah, it's a lot easier sitting down or laying down. Toes to heels. About half a second to 1 second each way. Now experiment with the speed a little bit. Speed it up a little bit. Make it a bit faster. And see how fast you can go before you lose touch with it. And then slow it back down so you're still keeping connected with your feet. And feeling that those points of awareness moving backward and forwards through your feet. they can cause some amazing sensations. Keep focusing on your feet, and I want you to move your energy from your feet to your knees. Feet to knees, up and down through your legs, just roughly into the feet and then back up to your knees again, through the whole of your legs, through the muscles and bones. Imagine you've got two balls of energy moving up through your legs and around them. Like you've got a couple of invisible sponges moving up through your legs. Imagination helps, but it's more important to feel it. Move the feel. About 1 second each way. Now take it all the way to your hips, from your feet to your hips, up and down through the whole of both legs, all the way to your hip joints. Having trouble getting around your knees, just push your feet out in front of you a bit to straighten your legs a little bit. Feet to hips, up and down through both legs. Just keep going with that for another minute. Keep moving the energy up and down your legs while I talk. Your feet are incredibly important to the energy that moves through your body. If you look at reflexology and how that works, or if you've experienced it, it's pretty powerful stuff. Feet to hips. And relax. Everybody okay with that? Good? Anybody getting any strong sensations or heat?
My feet just get really warm like my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The strong sensations you get are overstimulation of nerves plus energy and different elements moving through your body. But on the very basic level, it's overstimulation. Blockages in your body, stuff that's being cleared, and you get this big flood of energy coming into you. Some of you will have activation in some of the chakras, and this can continue for a few hours, even a couple of days after the initial session. You may find there's a throbbing in, was it me? Or in your heart, for example. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. What's happened is you've cleared a blockage, or there's an area in your body which is depleted, and just by working on your hands and feet, you've freed up the natural flow of energy, and it's like flooding in there, repleting a particular area. It's hard to know exactly what's happening, but observations lead me to believe this, because it can go on for a little while, and you'll feel better and more balanced afterwards. And there's no need to shut it down. If it does get a bit worrying and you want to stop it, you focus your awareness on the area and literally tell it to stop. Say, my heart chakra deactivates, my heart chakra is relaxed, my heart chakra stops. That command will usually do it. Alternatively, raid the refrigerator, have a shower, go for a walk. Physical activity and movement tend to deactivate the energy body. So, sorry?
I heard washing your hands will deactivate it.
Yeah, wash your hands, have a shower. It's great, cleanses the energy body and grounds it very strongly too as well. But the strong sensations like that and uncomfortable ones they will ease off with a little bit of time, depending on what it is. A few hours, a few days, a few weeks at most. I haven't had any problems really gone beyond that level of regular energy work. It's rare to go beyond a couple of days with any continuing chakra activity. As I said, you cannot deactivate chakras by reversing the action used to cause them. I know it's commonly widespread believed, and I've had many an argument with other teachers on this sort of thing. And they say, usually the methods they use to activate chakras is to imagine or visualize a little door opening or a little pair of curtains or something over, say, your heart chakra, and you work your way up. And then you've got to carefully go back down and shut these little doors. And if you ask the question, why do we have to close them? It's like, bad things will happen. Little baby ducks will go without water, and you'll leak energy, and the imagination plays parts here. It's like you'll attract nasty energies and things, and it's like the typical religious born-again reason why you shouldn't meditate and clear your mind. If you clear your mind, the devil might get in there. You've emptied your mind, something might get in there. It could be evil, The imagination of the mind of man never ceases to amaze me. But if you look at how this works here, visualization is a very obtuse way to move energy anyway. It barely has much effect on most people unless they connect with the physical body accidentally. If you perform an action to activate a center, and then you go back and reverse that action with the intention of deactivating it, look at what you've been doing now. It's like if you're going to draw circles on your right hand, which is one of the actions in the energy workbook, and that's causing a lot of activity. Okay, let's go counterclockwise. Is that going to close it?
No.
It's not, is it? It's obvious. It's going to cause further stimulation. So the intention and the visualization or imagination, the intention of deactivating or closing it will have some effect, depending on how connected you are with your higher self. But the action itself doesn't. But I love arguing with people like this because they sort of get frantic, about all these terrible things that will happen. And I say, how's that going to happen? Why? It's like they don't have any answers. They just get mad and throw things at me. So, they do. They get quite rabid sometimes, because you're trapping on, like treading on the toes of sacred dogma here. Well, some of these things, it's like they believe it so passionately, even though they have zero personal experience to back it up, and don't even know anybody personally that has any personal experience. All you get is hearsay. Somebody told me once about somebody who did this, and they come under demonic attack and that because they didn't close their chakras properly and that. So you've got to do it. This is where dogma comes from. A dogma is a mindless adherence to ritual and that which we don't understand, and there's no reason. And if people can't come up with the right evidence to justify their arguments, they often make it up. And when they make it up, all the people in that audience will go away, and they heard this, and now it's direct hearsay. It's even more powerful. So you go from one fibber to another fibber, and it's like Chinese whispers, and it's like, there was a logic to these things, and you cannot beat personal experience. You ever heard of that thing with the monkeys? My son's a psychologist who's telling me about it. There's an experiment that's been done with monkeys, and what you do is you put a monkey in a cage, and inside the cage there's some stairs and a banana hanging down above the stairs. And he said, what you do is, he said, you put like 3 monkeys in there, and every time one of them goes up the stairs to get the banana, you turn on ice water. A big shower of ice water comes down. And you do that, and you keep doing that until the monkeys become conditioned not to go up the stairs. And of course, they'll completely ignore it. They'll go hungry because they know that every time they go up the stairs, they're going to get dumped with ice water. So they completely ignore that banana on the ladder. And now, once that's established in them, you take one of those monkeys out and you replace it with a fresh monkey. Now, the fresh monkey goes towards the stairs to get the banana, and the other monkeys grab him and stop him. No, don't go up there. And they won't let him go up there because they know what's going to happen. They're all going to get wet. Now, and after a while, this monkey accepts it, and he won't go up there either. And then you replace another monkey and another one until you've removed all the original monkeys that were there. So there's only new monkeys in the cage, conditioned. Now, none of them has ever been up those steps themselves. They've just been told and pulled away and conditioned that if they're not allowed to go up there because some weird, really bad thing will happen if they go up there. But you'll find, even if you replace those monkeys again with fresh replacements until they're all out of the way, none of them have had any contact with any monkey with direct experience with ice water. But you put another monkey in there and they will like fight and grab and scream and drag the monkey away from the steps in the banana without knowing why. It's just because they're conditioned to do that. And sorry, waffling here a bit, but yeah, that's an actual psychological study, a test that have been done many times. But it's very much like human behaviour in that we often adhere to things and do things, and we don't really know why we do them. We just know we do it that way, and because I don't know, we've always done it that way, or we've been told it's good or something. But when you apply this to spiritual development and energy work and things like that and these techniques, and when I first started in this area, I fell to some of those things myself. And I think in some of my early online stuff, I've even mentioned that. It still plagues me. Some of the first writing I ever did, 15, 20 years ago, I've still got people finding old copies of that and saying, I don't think I closed my chakras properly. Is something bad going to happen to me? Or something, it's like, and I keep trying to hunt down early copies of that and destroy it, because I was just going on faith, it's like one of these things. I have no personal experience of that, but I put it in one of my first texts that I released on the internet many years ago. And I didn't know any better because I hadn't really thought about it. And I think that's the kicker. You haven't really thought about it. It's, we just do these things. But in this area here, if you look at what we're doing with energy work and spiritual development and how important it is for us, it's, we need to get to the root of it all and make it all work again. And this is why I think you'll find people in the Asian countries and that seem to make better progress than we do generally in what they do, and that's because they're speaking the native tongue. They don't have the translation issues. But I mentioned Kundalini before, the serpent of fire. I expect everybody here has heard of that. This is very energy body related. We'll do some more exercises in a minute. It also relates to the dogma thing here. I raised my Kundalini the first time was about 17 years ago, I think it was, and so I've learned a fair bit about it by doing it myself. And considering when I first did it, as I said, it almost killed me, because I think I'd read 2 pages out of an old spiritualist book on it, something from about 1920, I think it was, and I just thought it was possible. So I sat down and did it. It took me a couple of weeks to work out how to do it, but and it just sort of came to me the right thing to do. With the dogma, I had a discussion, more of an argument with a man who's written several books on Kundalini, and he even wrote a book on the symbology of the serpent. You know, the typical Kundalini symbol, you've got this coiled cobra, rising cobra. And I think he wrote a book on what the symbology of that meant. And our conversation came to an end, and he didn't like me after. I said, it's not a symbol. It's what it actually feels like. It's a physical sensation of Kundalini. It's unmistakable. For example, you have a large force, and it feels very solid, about as thick as a man's wrist. Push its way up through your perineum, it's between the flat area between your anus and genitals, up into your stomach, 3.5 coils going upwards and then up through the head. And when it goes up through the head area, the crown and the brow center fuse, and it feels like a big flap it's like having a big stake hanging down off your head over to your nose here. Now, if you put that together, you've got this big coil thing coming up through you, out through the head, and this big hood thing coming down here. It feels like a big snake coming up inside of you, and then a cobra hood sort of opening out over your face. That's a physical sensation. It's not symbolic. So, but it could be, understood for thinking it was symbolic if you haven't actually done it. And I'm talking to a guy who's written about several books on the subject, and it became obvious to me that he hadn't done it himself. And I looked him up and saw a picture of him. I won't mention who he is, but and there's this man about 60 with the long hair and the scraggly beard and the robe, he's doing the sort of guru thing, and he's got this couple of really young women right here, and all these young women sitting around here looking at him adoringly. I thought, you dirty old bastard, I know what you're doing. You're into that tantric stuff, aren't you? Yeah. Big smile on your face, yeah. Yeah, I've written books on this. I know all about it, love. Yeah. Yeah. People do that. It's like, yeah. Anyway, he didn't want to talk to me, so. Oh, sorry, the lights are blinding me. I'm blinded by the light. Hey, good title for a song, that.
Is this on? Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, I did have a couple questions about Kundalini, because you had mentioned that, yoga people are very, very cautious, mostly, about working with Kundalini energy. So what are the cautions you would have in doing this for someone that is not very experienced?
The general rule, because these methods are so effective, but my general rule applies to anything, whether you are approaching this through physical yoga or through inner work or body awareness work here. My golden rule is when you feel any adverse symptoms in your energy body, whether it is like nausea or thrumming or an overactive chakra, or if you start getting Kundalini spikes. And a Kundalini spike is like an electrical sensation, and it's like 240 volts going up through the spine, through the spinal cord. And they can vary from mild and uncomfortable to very intense. Like you feel like it's, literally to mains voltage, which is like, wow. And even stronger. My golden rule here is to stop what you're doing and take a break and, focus on grounding and physical activity until it all settles down again, and then return to the activity again, maybe a little bit more gently. I've come across only a very small handful of people, probably about 3 people over the last 15, 20 years, who have a real sensitivity in the Kundalini spike area. Whenever they do a deep meditation or energy work in that, they're likely to trigger Kundalini spikes, which are very uncomfortable, and they can be painful. And I haven't solved that one yet, apart from take a break, back off, and go back into it again, and try and develop the mechanism to the point there where it'll be easier. But Kundalini, if you fully rise Kundalini, I don't think there really is an easy way. It's a very powerful event. It is major. There's none of this. It's not like a gentle sort of a flowering when Kundalini rises. As opposed to Kundalini being awakened, which is a different thing. When Kundalini is awakened, that can awaken in many different ways. But if you actually manually raise Kundalini, it's a very visceral event. It's not like a delicate thing. And so it's not like, terribly painful if you do it, prepare yourself for it properly. But it is a very powerful event. And I don't think there is a really gentle way to, not to do it fully up to the head. But no, general cautions beyond common sense. I think common sense needs to be applied here. One is you need to be reasonably emotionally, mentally balanced to approach any kind of heavy energy work, deep meditation, even like hemisync at the Monroe Institute and that. You don't want to be, unbalanced or with emotional problems and that. Yes, microphone.
I have a question about sensations that people, not often, but some people feel when they're meditating. I started experiencing it when I was in meditation, and I've noticed in meditation groups there might be 1 or 2 people that are experiencing it too, but no one's ever been able to explain it to me. It's this rocking sensation, and sometimes it's back and forth, sometimes it's sideways, but it starts very low in the pelvic area, and it'll end up in the head, so that
You mean you're physically rocking?
physically rocking spontaneously, not able to control it. The more you try to stiffen against it, the more intense the rocking is.
I think what happens there, that's an energy body sensation related to out-of-body experience. It's quite a common phenomena with, or astral projection they call it, is a pre-astral projection sensation is a sensation of swaying and rocking, which you'll get in the energy body itself when you're often laying in bed or sitting there and you feel yourself swaying one way or the other, or even rotating a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's quite commonly reported. Now, I think often if you are sitting there and particularly sitting upright with no back support in a meditational position, say cross-legged lotus or something like that, I have seen people do that same sort of thing, and I think it's pre-OBE. It's because you're in an upright position when you're, you could say your energy body starts moving about and coming a bit loose. Because keep in mind, when you are meditating to a deep state of relaxation, your physical body and brain go to sleep. And you'll often hear a person snoring while they're meditating, but they're awake and they can talk to you, but the physical body is asleep, and sometimes it will snore. So in a case like that, your physical body is asleep, your astral body is a bit loose, and it does tend to sway about inside the physical body. The physical body will kind of follow it. It's a little bit like mini form of sleepwalking. We'll sort of move around with it. I've experienced that myself as well, so I'm pretty sure that's what causes it, that like gentle swaying, rocking sort of moving.
Well, thank you.
As opposed to that wiggling one, which is more energetic.
This is more rhythmic.
Yeah. There are also things inside of the energy body itself. You have a central column comes up and down through you, which is about as, you draw it out here. Let me snake. I'm not much of an artist, you may have noticed, but if I was at one of my first workshops in Montana, and there was like 60 people there, and I took my 12-year-old daughter and 13-year-old son along. It was like midway through the first presentation, my daughter, who was like 12, at the back of the room, she sort of walked straight up the front in front of the class to me. I thought, what's wrong with her? Ripped the pen out of my hand, glared at me, scrubbed out what I'd drawn, and drew it very, very neatly, like that. And then she handed it there and walked off. She'd had enough. I'll get another coloured pen, sorry. It was funniest thing. I think about that now, it's so funny. There's a central channel comes up through the body, you could say. And it's like over here, it's like a tube. And that tube rotates. It's a bit like a washing machine in a way. You'll find the tube, if you really tune into your body awareness with your tactile senses there, it'll take a while to get sensitive enough, but you really feel what's going on inside of you. You'll find there's this area inside of you which is turning. There's a turning point all the way down through your body. And that will turn in one direction for a while, and then it will stop and it will turn back the other way. Now, the activity and speed of this turning seems to vary according to what you're doing and thinking, your energetic, emotional state at the time, and whether you're awake or asleep. But why was I talking about that? You asked a question, didn't you? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I've lost the plot there somewhere. Somebody help me. The rocket, yeah, the rocking. That's right. Thanks. I think that can also be to do as well, because that movement inside of you intensifies when you're meditating. Your physical body's asleep, and if you can also tune into that movement there as well, you can get this sort of moving feeling, like being on a roundabout sort of thing, a vertigo sort of a feeling. But it's an amazing thing, the energy body. And I thought I'd learned so much about it, after writing my book and that. I was feeling quite chuffed with myself, And now I've got this whole new levels appearing to me, every day I'm learning this new stuff. It's like, whoa, I'm taking notes for myself. And this is actually why I do these workshops and lectures and that. I was never a natural sort of public speaker, but over the years I've gotten to really enjoy it. I've learned over the years that the very best way for me to learn is to teach, because there's a magical alchemical interaction occurs between students and teachers. Now, here I'm the teacher at the moment and you're the students, and we sort of agree to have this interaction between us. But there is a third presence here, which we can't see, and it's called the truth. And that is the one which I'm always looking up to and checking with and asking for tips. And because in that interaction between student and teacher, you'll find these new inspirational things come down. And sometimes I find myself coming up with ideas and talking about things I've never thought of before. And this is the biggest reason why I do this is quite selfish, I must admit. It is because of my love of learning and exploring this sort of thing. And I always learn something from every workshop. And the more I give, the more I learn. So it's a wonderful thing. And it's the only way I know. I've noticed some other teachers I've seen live do the same thing. Carolyn Mace. Is anybody familiar with Carolyn Mace? I've seen a couple of her workshops where she's done the same thing. And I noticed it. And I said, she's learning. That's why she doesn't want to stop. And I see she's taking notes from what's happening. And I said, I love it. I just love it when that happens. It's gorgeous. Right. Yes, microphone. What we need is a flying mobile microphone.
That's right.
It'll sort of zoom around. Thank you.
In Kundalini Rising, maybe you can explain to me, during dream time, like lay down for a nap, and I had violent shaking in my body, and then remember saying, don't be afraid, and just made myself wake up. This happened repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I just attributed, but I've never put time forth other than personal meditation, tuning inward. The spin, it's a natural spin to me. It's tuning into things that
the
were
violent shaking.
Excuse me. Yeah. So is that with my philosophy is Kundalini just rise naturally, not force it. Not. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't go into let's try to make my Kundalini rise. If that's what's happening, fine. I'm developing.
That's not Kundalini. That's astral projection related.
So
I'm positive. Yeah.
Okay, so what is it?
The shaking is astral projection related. Everybody exits their physical body whenever you sleep. And sometimes, particularly if you're overtired and you're a bit slow in the falling asleep process, or if you wake up during it, you'll find, let me say, your astral body will normally separate from your physical body almost with no sensation whatsoever if you are falling asleep, which is necessary. You need to be falling asleep, generates the astral body, it comes out. Long story, but this is the basics of it. Now, if you partially wake up during that process, the presence of awake consciousness throws a very big spanner in the workings of a natural mechanism. And very common symptoms are whole body vibrations, and shaking can be very violent in some cases. Continual falling sensation, rapid heartbeat, they're probably the main key ones to look for. There's a bunch of other lesser ones as well. They can be so violent you think the world is coming to an end. I mean, absolutely insane. It's like being strapped to an industrial vibrator.
Yeah.
If you know the type they use to concrete sort of vibrators, like being strapped to one of those. I mean, I've been doing it all my life when I was a kid, but when I first taught myself to actually induce it when I was about 20 years old, first couple of times I thought, I'm going to die. This is it. I'm dying. It was so major, I mean, massive. So, but that would definitely be astral projection related. Kundalini doesn't occur like that, not that I know of. Okay. Yeah, and it's not the sort
I
of...
thought because I was sleeping, you know, taking a nap, that it might have had something more to do with that, but then, you know, are you relaxed enough that causes the, you know...
Well,
at any rate.
you sleep every night.
Does one have anything to do with the other? Who knows?
Not really, no. I mean, you sleep every night, so it's not natural. Achieving a deep state of meditation, the only difference is that you're awake while you do it. Your body does it every night, but it's training the mind to remain awake in that state, which is, of course, a difficult part. But you won't really raise Kundalini naturally just from normal life. Through the practice of meditation, you will...
through meditation.
Yeah, through meditation you can trigger Kundalini awakenings and things like that, yes. But, not through... No, I wouldn't say it was related, so I wouldn't worry about that. And normally those heavy sensations ease off. Once you have them the first couple of times you experience it while you're awake, they will normally ease off significantly in the second, third, fourth events after, you have after that, until they become quite natural. As the energy body, it's like with the energy work, the sensations, it tends to adapt very, very quickly to what you're doing. So it will ease up. Yes?
Just to continue on that same thread, what's the difference between Kundalini awakening versus Kundalini rising? How does that feel different sensation-wise?
When Kundalini is awakened, these are my terms here now, and there's many things which can awaken Kundalini, the natural Kundalini process. Deep thinking can activate it. Devotional work, meditation, energy work, yoga, Tai Chi, any kind of things like that. Carl Jung, the famous transpersonal psychologist, had a Kundalini awakening, and he wrote quite extensively on it. If you've read The Secret of the Golden Flower, he did an extensive commentary in there and talks about chakras and Kundalini and that. If you haven't got it, it's called The Secret of the Golden Flower. It's a small book, but it's well worth getting. Well, as opposed to raising Kundalini deliberately, where you're putting yourself into an altered state of consciousness, you're doing specific techniques to raise the energy. And it takes a lot of energy you need to raise a lot of energy to the base center for quite a long period of time, for a couple of hours at least, to trigger the base center to have a strobe effect, a strobe event. It's like a capacitor. Every chakra in the body, the major chakras, have two basic capabilities. One is to act like a transformer of energy, where energies of different types go in and get changed into other types. And another capacity is to operate as a capacitor. It's a bit like, imagine if you've got a colander, the type that you wash rice in. and you're filling it up under a tap, and then you add another tap and another tap. And as fast as you put the water in, it drains out through the holes. But if you had enough taps filling in there, enough energy going in, eventually it will fill up and overflow. It's a bit like that. You need a lot of energy. And when it fills up, it's like the capacitor in a flash unit in a camera. When it reaches full capacity, there is a massive change occurs inside there, and it releases all of that energy in that chakra instantaneously. It's like a massive flash going off. Boom. And that is what releases Kundalini if you are manually rising it. And you need to, and they say it takes a significant amount of energy work to get to that. Now, any of the major chakras, I believe, can strobe. I've experienced the base center, of course, and the crown center and the brow center. The brow center strobing independently, and the heart center are strobing independently. I haven't experienced the solar plexus or the navel center strobing independently, but I may not just have experienced that. Now, if your brow center strobes independently, this is the capability outside of Kundalini, you will experience a brilliant mind's eye flash in the mind's eye. It's like 1,000 cameras going off at close range. And with that comes a feeling of mild concussion over the entire facial area. It's like somebody's hit you in the face with a pillow, and this massive flash goes off. And but that's because of the support work for the brow center comes down through the face. That's what causes all the itching and tickling when you meditate. But with a strobe event in the brow center here, there's a lot of activity in that area there rapidly, and it makes you feel a bit numb afterwards. Doesn't hurt. But of course, if you don't know what that is happening there, that strobe event, which is related to Kundalini, of course, but can happen independently. If you don't know what that is, I had lots of people write to me and say, I was meditating or trying to get to sleep, and there was this big flash of light, and this person's worried they've been attacked by a demon or something, because all they know is there's been this big flash, and I feel like this concussion, like I've been hit in the face. It's like something has hit me, so they get worried they've come under some kind of attack. So, but it's not the case. Interesting too, the brow center can also strobe in multiple ways, on multiple levels. It can strobe pure white, which is, you could say, on the Kundalini circuit, but it can also strobe violet and purple. When you have you could say, a creative event occurs in the brow center, which is the source of creativity. We're running out of time now, but remind me tomorrow, I'll tell you about my son, the day he became an artist in one day. Yeah, for a brow center strobe, a purple one. And within like 4 or 5 hours, he became an artist. And it was like, yes, sir, last question. I think we finish at 9, don't we? Yeah.
I've got 2 questions. Going blank on them now. How did you become aware that we project every night? And then why do we do that? Why does the astral body go out every night?
Big questions. First one, I've been having astral projection since I was probably 4 years of age, and I remember lots of them. And a long story, I just started exploring it one day and kept going and kept looking at it. And the other answer, to answer you quickly here, by doing it a lot, I've learned a lot about it, and by examining it. The other thing, the natural purpose of astral projection, everything must have a natural purpose if it's happening every night. It's like falling asleep. I fall asleep every night. What happens? It must have a natural purpose. It's a similar thing. Now, while you're asleep every night, your astral body comes loose every time you sleep and projects out of your body. And in most cases, it will usually just hover a couple of feet above you, mimicking the sleeping position. So you're in your physical body, and your astral body's outside also asleep. Why? I've observed this a lot. Now, it can also be awake. It can wake up out of body. what actually occurs beyond your physical body is mind-blowing in complexity. But, just breaking it down into some basic parts here is complicated enough. The nearest I can ascertain is, to answer your question, there is some kind of cosmic recharge process occurs during sleep that requires the astral body to be out. It's almost like there is a cosmic event occurs regularly, whereby, and it may occur every day, where all of the astral bodies, you could say, in the world, including animals, because animals have astral bodies and project as well. I've often watched my animals do that in children. But about once a day, it's hard to ascertain when, but if you project frequently, you will encounter these events where you'll find you'll be out of your body floating along, and then something will grab you, and it'll get stronger and stronger, pulling you backwards up into the sky, and you'll see yourself going up into the sky through the clouds, and then you'll black out for a moment, and you'll be aware of yourself coming back down to earth again. And you'll land sometimes where you started from, sometimes not. You may be hundreds of years in the past. You could be years in the future or months in the future. A lot of authors on astral projection have noted this. These events are like precognitive events. Sometimes they involve the past, sometimes really mundane things. You'll meet people there that you don't know, but you might meet them in 6 months or 12 months' time or something, and see something going on which involves precognitive, past, present, and future astral projection events. And it could be possibly to do with the whole source thing that we are one. Maybe there's a central brain in the universe, if you want to call it, that once a day kind of breathes in and breathes up everything and processes it all and puts it back out again. I don't know. All I can do is give you some of the symptoms that might apply to it, and but that's about as best as I can do. And I think we're out of time for the night, so I'll see you here early in the morning. And before you go to sleep tonight, brush your hands and feet just for a minute while you're falling asleep. If you do it while you are falling asleep, the action, remember I said it had a momentum to it, will tend to carry on into the sleep state. So if you start up a nice gentle action on your feet, which is very, very healthy to do, you will find that will carry on into the sleep state there. And it's interesting. Yeah. And we'll be doing a lot of energy work in the next 2 days. So. And thank you for that. I'll see you in the morning. You're welcome. I'll be warmed up by then.